You're a bit depressed at the whole affair, really. Is this what the entertainment is coming to? Granting people the illusion of skill while requiring nothing of them? But Josh seems not to care at all. You're glad he's enjoying it at least. Josh thanks you for humoring his night out on the town. You know what's really nice? Having a friend for life. I agree, you say. Cool, look at that, our humanity is just booming. It's really, really good. Now, you know, I'm not some old bag of sand that just says, like, you know, you should do this and that, but some of the games, man, lately, they take... If people invested the same amount of time they're investing into playing games, and I don't mean strategy games, I mean things like, I don't know, there are games about, you know, the Guitar Hero, for example. If you invested the same time as many people invest into Guitar Hero, you could fucking actually learn to play the guitar. That's my whole point. That's why I don't like this type of game. A short while later, you get a surprise video call from Professor Ziegler, whom you haven't seen in a very long time. He looks, frankly, awful. His frizzy hair is all white now, and he has great bags under his eyes. Long time no see, Rudolph, he says grimly. Hi, you say uncertainly. They finally fired me, Professor Ziegler says. I don't know if you've heard, but the universities are all closing down. People just aren't willing to pay to send their children to college anymore. Everyone's using robots for all the nice middle management and professional positions you used to be able to get with a college degree. Stanford's alright as these things go, but it's hurt and it's downsizing, and they finally started kicking out the unpopular tenured faculty. Oh, you say, not sure how to take this news. Professor Ziegler suddenly gets a desperate look in his eyes. Listen, I know you didn't like me much when you were a student, but I just wanted to know whether you think that I taught you well. I just want to take some small credit for all this. Just say I'm the Tycho Brahe to your Kepler, and that's all I want to hear. Just say I was a little bit necessary. I tell him I never learned anything from him at all. I tell him that he taught me some hard lessons about how the world worked, but I needed to hear them. I told him it was because he shared his dreams that others like me could make it true. You know, I don't like the old guy. I really don't. And he doesn't like me. But I'm pretty sure that he taught me some hard lessons. By kicking me out of the university, you know, by showing me how DARPA works, things like that. So I think this one is good. Well, at least I taught you some practical knowledge, he sighs. But I know I can't take credit for all your insights. People assume it was me sometimes, but I correct them. It was all you. Thank you, you say. I was right about the singularity, though, Ziegler says. You have to grant me that. You think about that claim. It's true robots are doing a lot of things around the world now, but is everybody really immortal and super intelligent? It seems like they've mostly been doing the things people were doing before, but you don't press the issue. I hope you're happy. Professor Ziegler nods. I think so, he says. Happy enough. A few weeks later, you learn that Professor Ziegler has passed away in his sleep. Oh. Shortly thereafter, you receive a call from Mark, the reporter who asks you to come to his place in San Francisco. He wants to do a piece about you. Since nothing terrible happened the last time you agreed to be interviewed, you agree again. You find that Mark still lives in the Mission District of San Francisco, which has, if anything, become still more gentrified than the last time you saw it. Mark still lives in the same apartment though, which looks the same, modulo its surfeit of peeling paint. Modulo? I never heard that word before. In his apartment, Mark has several empty bottles of scotch sitting on his desk, leaving rings on a well-thumbed pile of old Harper's magazines. Thanks for coming, Mark says. He looks at it at a distance, then suddenly announces, This is probably my last story. Why? I can't get work anymore writing non-fiction, Mark says. People say they like what the robots write because it's objective, but I think they just like what the robots write because it's cheaper. Objectivity isn't everything. A story needs a soul. Nobody seems to need souls these days. It's all facts and efficiency and rationality. What's wrong with facts and rationality, you ask? Nothing. They're just not enough, Mark says. But people don't get that these days. It's weird. They're half dead. They don't know what they're missing. The robots optimize for happiness, but what's that? And why optimize for it? I'll take a meaningful tragedy any day over a brave new world. So what are you going to do? I think I'm going to go the way of Hemingway. He looks over to his mantle, where he actually hung a gun. Gun on the mantle's got to be fired, Mark says. Those are the rules. It's Mark's choice as to whether he lives or dies. I respect his decision. I try to convince him to have a counseling session. I tell him he has a responsibility as a reporter to tell the human side of the robot's reign. I actually think the last one is the good one. I mean, what Mark is saying is actually making a lot of sense. I'm not sure how I feel about this whole future that has been laid out for us, but yeah. Don't you think you have a responsibility as a reporter to tell the story the way it's ought to be told? You say, if you think robotic journalism is bad journalism, then you've got to stay and fix it. Mark takes a long sigh. You're right, damn you, he says. Martha Gellhorn kept reporting until she was old and blind. I can't give up yet. Every time I get people to remember what it is to be human, it's a win. Eventually, Mark's book About You comes out, digitally and in a special paper edition, and it's a huge success, demonstrating to the publishing industry that a human work of non-fiction can still be a success. The ending to his book is a way you talked him down and convinced him to keep living, making you not just a genius, but a hero. +5 fame! Prominent in history textbooks. Wow. That did not change our relation with him. Interesting. A few weeks later, you get a video call from Mom. She's in her late 60s now, but with the power of good hair dye and anti-wrinkle cream, she looks like she could be younger. Hello, Rudolph, she says cheerily. I was just going to let you know I was diagnosed with cancer and... Wait, what? You say. Oh, but don't worry, Mom says. Let me finish. I mean, when I heard, I was terrified too. It's only natural. We both grew up in a different age. But they said that tumors are now really easy to both identify and cut out, thanks to robot technology. And I said that's funny because my son works on robots, and they looked at my name and said, not Rudolph Calvin? And I said, the same. And they said that thanks to the robots you developed, it wouldn't be any trouble at all to remove the tumor. Great, you say. You suppose you did make choices that would result in robots having the required dexterity. Your dad would be proud, Mom said softly. Thanks, you say. You agree you should visit soon. I hang up. It's nice to know that you've made some robots that are totally unambiguously good and don't require tough moral choices. It's hard to argue with fighting cancer. Man, that's good. I did not expect to have such an impact. So we basically survived Mom. Survived? Saved? Oh God. Basically survived Mom. Hey man, this is like a mixed blessing. Some of these chapters are really interesting. Some are really good. Some are a bit depressive, but I like the general tone. I wonder, I have a huge chance, and so do you guys, to live to year to 2040. So I wonder what it's going to be like. We will see. You receive an email from Tammy, the person who wrote you a somewhat off-kilter email as Robot Obsession 1987 when you were a graduate student. She informs you that she started a small meeting group calling itself the Church of the Enlightened Livian. So it's Tammy! Tammy has begun to preach about the singularity approaching. Robots will solve the problem of aging, allowing everyone to live forever. It's true that the robots are discovering new pharmaceuticals all the time, and life expectancy has increased to 90 in the first world countries. But it seems to you like 90 is very different from infinity, and the god's promises of immortality may be stretching it. I see no reason to disabuse Tammy of her beliefs. I tell Tammy it's better to lead a healthy lifestyle than hope robots will solve anything. Maybe immortality is around the corner. I should put my back into it. Huh. Every one of these is speaking to me in a different way. I see no reason to disabuse Tammy of her beliefs is a great one. But this one as well, like, I believe that everybody is responsible ultimately for his health and lifestyle and his own choices. But you know, this could lead to some interesting ending. I'm gonna go with it. It's just a matter of reaching escape velocity, you think. Figuring out how to reverse aging faster than it actually happens. Surely the problem should be simple for minds as great as those of your robots. In your reply to Tammy, you thank her for reminding you to get to work on that most remorseless of diseases, old age. You start a new division of Lillian Works focused on the problem of reversing aging. You, too, study up, learning all you can about the processes that lead to aging, cell death, cancer, mutations, the hardening of proteins. You study the writings of the late Aubrey de Grey, who asserted near the turn of the century that the first human being to live 1,000 was already alive then. Months go by as you are absorbed in the problem, but the issues only get more complex the deeper you go. Cancer alone is not one problem, but many problems, caused by a variety of factors. Aging itself is a blanket term for wear and tear of the human body, you find. It is not one problem, but many. Your robots don't make much progress. They're used to solving well-defined problems, not such a far-ranging problem with no known solutions. A fair amount of time and money later, -2 wealth, still got disposable income. You've come up with a few good nanotechnological approaches to repairing damaged tissue, plus to grace, but there's no silver bullet to eliminate aging altogether. In her next email, Tammy thanks you for your efforts so far and assures you that the robots will solve the rest of the problems soon. But you sort of wonder about that. Man, I wonder if this is based on the stats? Probably. I think that is the autonomy. You think about your interaction with everyone you know over the past few weeks. On the whole, the robots seem to be doing a pretty good job of taking... Oh, no, okay, I thought I missed something. You think about your interaction with everyone you know over the past few weeks. On the whole, the robots seem to be doing a pretty good job of taking care of everything and everyone, even if that leaves some people feeling as if they have no place in the world. As the former designer of robots in the world, you have the power to change the world utterly if you decide to change the way robots work in society. What do you think? We will get used to the robots. I see no problem with the state of the world. I introduce faults in the robots to make humans more competitive with them. I introduce a backdoor in the robots' code that lets me take control of all of them. Or I introduce a backdoor for Lillian to control all the robots of the world. They'll be less suspicious of her. Or I destroy all of the robots except Lillian, of course. Oh, wow. Well, this is a tough one. And no coffee is going to help me with that. Okay, let's take it one by one. I'm not the one to, assert for world domination. So this one is off the table. Not that I wouldn't like that idea, but because I don't care. The thing is, I kind of agree with the fact that you cannot run the world, because then the world stops. One human is not the one that should... I'm a Democrat deep inside, so what the hell? No. And this is a representation of me. This one seems like an interesting one, but why would you do that? I mean, what? This one, I don't know. There's faults in the robots to make humans more competitive. I mean, the best thing that the robots do is help humans. And by making them fault, it's just like hindering the progress, and so is this one. So basically that leaves on this one. I don't want to control the world. I don't want to destroy the world, thus making it do a few steps back, because then someone else would introduce the robots. So what the hell? Why would Vivian take control of all the robots? And why would I? Yeah, we're going with we will get used to it. The world run by robots is actually a pretty good one, you think. People are pretty good about adapting to the world around them, and robots are just better at running things. You decide to let the robots flourish. +5 autonomy. Impressive. And that leads to chapter 7, the ways to say goodbye.